on This Week in Iowa Debate Wrap with the journalist who sat with Iowans for the whole thing, and Congresswoman Cindy Axne sits down to talk trade. Plus, Iowa farmers react to the devastating turn from the EPA on the RFS. Then, she's running for an open seat in District 2. Hear about her primary. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. And we are starting this show with Pat Reinard with the Iowa Starting Line, a Democratic operative here in our state, talking about what happened with the debate. So thank you so much, Pat, for being with us. Okay, so you were there watching the debate with Iowans. Give me your just quick reaction.
Sure. Well, I thought it was a really interesting debate, a much more substantive one, and one that saw a lot of new dynamics with people, a lot more candidates focusing on Elizabeth Warren, since she's now leading in a lot of different polls, and so whenever that happens, you get all the attacks. It was, I thought most of the voters that we talked with thought was pretty informative. It was interesting. One of the takeaways that a number of folks had was that Warren's kind of evasiveness on whether she was going to raise taxes or not to help pay for a Medicare for All plan, that kind of unnerved some folks, even some folks who were supporting Warren. But I also got the sense it wasn't that big a deal that it was going to, drastically change things. Okay, so Biden, Warren, and Sanders did they're the top three. Yeah. They got the most time. Do you think that's fair? No, but that is how it is. You feel bad for someone like Tom Steyer, who I think only got 7 minutes and 13 seconds in after spending all that money to help get on the stage. But I think overall that, I think it's odd that we have 12 people up there all at once. I personally prefer 2 nights of 6, but come the next one, November, I think we'll probably have some other dropouts and some other people just not make it.
Okay, so there's been a lot of discussion about electability and Warren's electability. What do you think that centers on? I've heard some people say that that's a sexist thing to be saying, that she's not electable. Others are saying, well, people said Barack Obama wasn't electable. They said Donald Trump wasn't electable. So what are your thoughts on electability?
I think one of the big things that Democrats are looking at this year in terms of electability is who can stand up to a punch. And I think that's one of the reasons why people have not, Democrats as a whole, have not been as concerned of how negative some of these debates have been, the back and forths have been during them, because they want to see how someone stands up under fire. Because whatever they get during these Democratic debates from fellow Democrats is going to pale in comparison to what Donald Trump throws at them in the general election. So aside from personality and ideology, I think a lot of people are just looking for toughness.
But do you think that it's a bad thing that the Democrats are all fighting amongst each other in such a negative way to bring each other down? Is that bad for the party in general?
Sometimes it can have some drawbacks, but I think overall this year there hasn't been any super punishing blows on anyone. I think one of the things that people should watch out for is building up certain cynicism among some of the candidates who might end up winning, that just because your views don't align 100% with one of the Democrats, that if it's only 90 or 80% means that, oh, well, we shouldn't even support him in the general election. I think that's something always to have some concern over. I don't think we've gotten to that level yet, though. All right, Pat, as always, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations on the new addition to your family. Thanks. All right, let's take a short break, everybody. But when we come back, Congresswoman Cindy Axne joins us in studio to talk trade.
For Local 5, most accurate isn't just a phrase, it's everything.
The rain comes in late Friday night now, after midnight and into Saturday morning.
Every commute.
Frost is possible early on today, so may need that scraper handy.
Every school day.
We're talking the coolest day of the week, only climbing to 50 when the kids head back home.
Every forecast, accurate, so you can plan your day.
20 to 25 mile per hour sustained winds gusting as high as 30.
Local 5 weather. We are Iowa's most accurate forecast.
Crossroads Shooting Sports is Central Iowa's premier indoor shooting range. Our state-of-the-art retail shop is an authorized dealer that has everything you need for concealed carry, home defense, and personal protection, with over 200 guns in stock. Crossroads Shooting Sports, where responsibility and skill meet.
The Dish voice remote just got even more powerful. Why'd we put so much technology in there?
You don't think I've watched a lot of football? You want to put a little wager on it? Bet.
So you can settle that bet without ever taking your eyes off the game.
How many D1 football teams are there?
What you do with that power?
Oh, it's gotta hurt.
Well, that is totally up to you.
Don't look so sad, man. Come on, we're having fun.
New Dish voice remote with the Google Assistant. Dish, tuned into you.
If you feel stuck in the middle of the extremes in our politics and you are tired of the noise and the nonsense, you've got a home with me. I am someone that tells the truth. I don't make promises that I can't keep. I have people's back, and I believe that to win, you bring people with you, and that is how you govern as well. Because I don't want to be the president for half of America. I want to be the president for all of America. I'm Amy Klobuchar, and I approve this message.
Crossroads Shooting Sports is Central Iowa's premier indoor shooting range. We feature a state-of-the-art retail shop, including full-service conference and training facilities. Our certified staff takes your safety, security, and education seriously. Crossroads Shooting Sports, where responsibility and skill meet.
From the capital city, you're watching This Week in Iowa with Sabrina Ahmed, getting to the heart of what's happening in Iowa politics.
Welcome back, everyone. We are joined now by Congresswoman Cindy Axne, and we are here to talk about a whole bunch of things, but really just to get an update of what's going on in Washington as you are heading back there. Congresswoman, thank you so much for speaking with me.
My pleasure.
Okay, I want to start talking about trade and the USMCA. We've seen another renewed effort to see this agreement passed, but Republicans are blaming Democrats in the House, saying that Democrats are the reason it's not getting passed. So what is happening? As a congresswoman who's there on the front lines, tell us why the USMCA hasn't passed the House, what needs to happen, and what's missing, or if there are parts of it that people disagree with.
Well, thank you so much for bringing up the USMCA. It's incredibly important to Iowa and this country that we pass the USMCA. Where we're at is that the Democratic House and Working Group did not receive the documents until the beginning of July. So contrary to what some have heard, it's not the Democratic House that's keeping this from coming to a vote. The Democratic House just received it at the beginning of July. At that point, the working group that is in Ways and Means is working with the Republican Working Group as well to finalize the agreement. Okay. So there's two key pieces that are being worked on. I think the agriculture piece looks great. The manufacturing piece looks good. I wish we could have pulled the agriculture piece out and just voted on that. But we're fine-tuning two pieces, biologics, pharmaceuticals, and regulatory oversight of labor and environmental standards, particularly with Mexico. They're both really important. And actually, these were two pieces that weren't included in NAFTA. So one of the problems with NAFTA is that we had put in, expected labor regulations, but no regulatory oversight to ensure that those labor and environmental standards were followed in Mexico. So when we're in a trade agreement with another country, they've got to be on the same level playing field that we are when it comes to, labor standards and environmental standards. If they aren't, they will undercut our pricing. They can pay people less. This leads to outsourcing jobs outside of the United States to Mexico. We want to keep jobs here, and certainly we don't want to undercut the prices that we can sell our goods at. So that piece is being worked on. The second is biologics pharmaceutical. These are pharma that's made from human genomes, like diabetes, insulin. A lot of folks take these types of drugs. They constitute a small amount of drugs that are taken, but a very large part of the cost. And the way that this has been put into USMCA is a good reason. It protects intellectual patents. We want to protect our intellectual property when it comes to developing drugs. But this would strap us from being able to negotiate the cost of those drugs for a decade plus, which is part of the problem that we have right now with why our prescription drugs are so high in this country. We have developed trade agreements with other countries, giving them better opportunities to lower the cost of their prescription drugs that they buy from us than we have from in America. So we're going to fix that with this to make sure that we can negotiate the cost of those prescription drugs, because right now the way it's written, it would allow those companies to hold that patent for at least a decade and then extend it, never letting generics come to market.
But 3.5 months sounds like a lot of time to be able to come up with some of those things and give some answers to farmers.
I have been on top of this every step of the way, and as a matter of fact, I had a private meeting with the Speaker, and then I spoke with the subcommittee chair of Trade. Both have given me the assurance that we're going to get this done this year. Okay. I don't have a guaranteed date on that, but they both feel very confident that they know how important this is. We all know how important this is for our country and for our state.
Now, Congresswoman, I always want more time with you, but we only have time for probably one more topic, and I'd like to talk about the recent roundtable that you had with the FCC and regarding rural broadband, because this is an issue that leads to jobs for rural America, that leads to health care for rural America. It's all kind of tied into rural broadband and having access to allowing these areas to thrive. So what happened in that roundtable, and what do you see being the next steps?
We held two roundtables, one in Indianola and one in Winterset, with local economic development folks, certainly with rural telecoms, with the commissioner. I was grateful to have her come out here, and other folks. You know, Iowa's a really good example of where the last mile needs to be met for people who need access to the internet. We need to lay fiber. Everybody needs to have broadband, and we have select pieces in almost every county that if we just close that gap, everyone would have it. The two key pieces that came out of that, the fact that we have bad maps, our mapping is incorrect. The Federal Communications Commission their maps are not appropriate. So they're saying that we've got 90% connectivity plus here in Iowa. No. Now, I've talked with Microsoft. Microsoft is really an interesting way to get information for this, because they see people's load times, and they're on everybody's computers. So they can actually see how long it takes for people to get to the internet. So they have a better understanding of what's going on out there from this perspective. They say we're closer, you know, to 30% of our state being covered. So we've got to fix the mapping, and we've got to get the money. There's funding pockets at federal, state, at multiple levels. We've got to coordinate that to make this happen.
Congresswoman Axne, as always, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
I know people love the dish remote. It's great. So why build in a Google Assistant? I mean, who really needs a TV remote that can turn the thermostat up,
change temperature to 72,
the lights down,
dim the lights,
and still access their DVR?
play real?
Actually, some people could absolutely use a remote like that. The new Dish Voice Remote. Dish, tuned in to you.
Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in our nation's history. When I called for his impeachment 2 years ago, Washington insiders and every candidate for president said it was too soon. But I believed then, as I do now, that doing the right thing was more important than political calculation. And over 8 million people agreed. We proved that there is no challenge that Americans can't meet when we work together. I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from leading financial firm J.D. Milberg. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. And it's free.
Call 800-240-8080.
As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Sentinel Security Life Insurance Company.
Call 800-240-8080. That's 800-240-8080. Call now.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. We're joined now by Grant Kimberly, who is here with the Iowa Soybean Association, here because the EPA said this week that they will not be mandating 15 billion gallons of biofuels to be mixed. And farmers are mad.
Yeah, that's right, because we thought we had a deal. The President and our Iowa Senators Grassley and Ernst, and Iowa Governor Reynolds and Secretary of Agriculture Naig had discussions with the White House in early October, and we had a deal that they would fully reallocate actual gallons from the small refinery exemptions over the last 3 years and prospectively account for those going forward.
So what was the change?
So the change in what EPA has proposed in this rulemaking process is that they're going to use Department of Energy estimates from the past, which are much, much lower than the actual exempted gallons over the last 3 years. And what's ironic about this whole thing is that the EPA has chosen to ignore those recommendations from the Department of Energy in the past anyway. So why all of a sudden would we trust that they're now going to follow through on that going forward? So you can see where we're very concerned about this.
Obviously, having this back and forth is frustrating, but what does it mean for you? What does it mean for Iowa farmers? What does it mean for Iowa's economy, and why should people at home care?
Well, the biodiesel industry is a very important part of the overall agriculture economy in Iowa and Iowa's economy. Iowa's economy is impacted by agriculture dramatically. Iowa is the leading producer of biodiesel. We have 11 plants in the state. One of those plants now is shut down because of these exemptions. And so if we don't get these reallocated back in there, we're not going to see this plant reopen. We're not going to see other plants thrive, and that means lower demand for feedstocks like soybean oil, which translates back to prices for farmers, which biodiesel adds about 60 to 90 cents a bushel to the price of soybeans. And then that goes back into the general economy, and farmers aren't going to buy new tractors. They're not going to buy other pieces of equipment, and that will translate into jobs for everyday Iowans.
So you received this promise from President Trump, and then the EPA is backing away from that promise. But the EPA is part of the Trump administration. So who is to blame here, and who can fix this?
Well, right now, the way we're looking at this, we know that the President made a commitment to our Iowa political champions, and we're very grateful for that. And the EPA has come out under Administrator Wheeler with this proposed rule. And so right now we're saying that Administrator Wheeler and the EPA needs to fix this, and this is something that they need to do. Now, ultimately, this comes back to the administration, but right now this is EPA's issue, and they've taken something that we thought was certain and made it very uncertain.
But President Trump hasn't responded since the EPA came out and said this.
We haven't heard anything yet on that, but we have heard from our Iowa political champions who understand that there's a reason to be skeptical of the EPA in this case, and Administrator Wheeler, and they're very much going to be re-engaging again with the White House and others to make sure this is done right, and we'll do that as well as an industry and as farmers during this comment period that we have.
So you have until the end of October, correct? Mm-hmm. And that's when there will be a meeting. So what can Iowans at home do? What can you guys be doing? Obviously, you can call your lawmakers, but the lawmakers are doing what they can.
Mm-hmm. There'll be a comment period where you can actually submit comments online, and we'll have information on the biodiesel.org website, the National Biodiesel Board, where you can submit comments to the EPA and show support for Iowa's biodiesel industry and Iowa's soybean farmers.
Okay, so what's your message to other Iowans, to your fellow Iowans who are watching this thinking, gosh, what on earth?
You know, our message is that we need the administration to hold fast to the deal that was made here earlier this month, and we need to make sure that we see this industry continue to grow and thrive. We need certainty so the marketplace can continue to grow and we can have demand for agriculture products like soybeans and corn and everything else, and this is what we want to have happen. We just want certainty, and we want the marketplace to be able to move forward after this.
Doesn't seem like too much to ask, does it?
It doesn't. It's very straightforward. We thought we had a deal, and we believe we still do have that, and we have to just convey that we want the deal based off of the actual exempted gallons, not past estimates of exempted gallons. So make sure that we go off of what actually has happened.
Okay, great. Kimberly, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you making the trek down here, especially during harvest. Yeah. How busy you are.
Yes, it's a very busy time of the year.
Not the time to be messing around with this stuff, right?
Yeah, that's what we want to be concentrating on is our harvest right now.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Grant.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break, everyone. Coming up next, she's running in District 2 for the open seat. Her priorities when we come back.
Water makes life possible on Earth and in our homes. Culligan conserves this resource with its high-efficiency water softener, the world's best, because it uses less water, and that matters to all of us. Click or call Culligan Water and start saving today.
It's Truck Month at Schottenkirk Chevy Waukee. Up to $15,000 off new 19 Silverado HDs. Up to $11,000 off new 19 Silverado 1500 Crew LTZs. We're in a position to give you more for your trade in Waukee. Up to $7,000 off new 19 Equinox. Truck Month in Waukee, including up to $15,000 off new Silverado HDs. Huge inventory, but these won't last. Schottenkirk Chevy Waukee. WaukeeChevy.com.
The Dish voice remote just got even more powerful. Why'd we put so much technology in there?
You don't think I've watched a lot of football? You want to put a little wager on it? Bet.
So you can settle that bet without ever taking your eyes off the game.
How many D1 football teams are there?
What you do with that power?
Oh, it's gotta hurt.
Well, that is totally up to you.
Don't look so sad, man. Come on, we're having fun.
New Dish voice remote with the Google Assistant. Dish, tuned into you.
How much is your life worth? Liberals in Congress are pushing a socialist plan to put government in control of prescription drug prices, radically changing Medicare seniors depend on. In other countries with socialist health care, patients wait months or years for vital treatments. Life-saving drugs aren't available because government decides which treatments are worth the cost. Tell Congresswoman Cindy Axne, stop the socialist takeover of your prescription drug benefits.
It's Psychic to the Stars, Tyler Henry.
You see a bunch of scribbles here where I basically start seeing things, feeling things.
And the reading that left us speechless.
I am seeing a baby being born.
New Doctors. Monday at 3 on Local 5.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. We are joined now by State Senator Mariannette Miller-Meeks, who is also running for Congressional District 2. Senator Meeks, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about your decision to run. Why decide to run for District 2?
Well, it was an interesting dynamic finishing up the Senate session, so it was my first legislative session, and then going back to my regular job, which I had been doing only on Fridays through session. And my patients started asking me if I was going to run, and then I had people ask me if I was going to run, so I really needed to kind of sit back and look at the race and look at what was happening. And what I saw was people really feel that their federal government has given up on them. They've quit fighting for Iowans, and the things that they would point out to me is that, you know, that they don't feel that their representatives are accessible to them. And they, you know, they're wondering what's happening on the trade deals, and why can't we get any traction on the USMCA? Why can't we get any traction or anything done on, you know, drug pricing, which we had done in the Senate. So we had passed bipartisan legislation, passed, I think, almost unanimously on looking at pharmacy benefit managers and having all of the rebates more transparent. They have to be recorded to the insurance division, and that's trying to get a handle on prescription drug prices and what we can do to make it more affordable. And so they look at those things that affect them every single day, bread and butter issues, and they don't see their legislature or, you know, Congress doing anything about those issues. So I had people approaching me, asking me about it. I looked at it, and then I looked at, you know, presidential debates where people want to, you know, give access to health care to illegal aliens, where they want to get rid of, you know, private health insurance. And I finally decided these are issues that are important to me, that I may have a skill set that's helpful. It may be able to serve people not only in my district but throughout the state. And sometimes you have to be willing to sacrifice your own comfort to do what you think is better for people. And there seemed to be widespread support for me running.
Now, you mentioned your day job and that you have patients, and that's because you're an ophthalmologist. So do you think that your healthcare background has shaped how you feel about some of those healthcare issues?
Absolutely. I think having been both a nurse and a physician, probably one of your most important skill sets or attributes is to listen. So you have to be able to listen, then you take all of that information, you assimilate it, you dissect through it, and then you have to come up and make a decision. And I think that's a skill set that we definitely need in Congress. You need to be able to read through a lot of information, put it together, ascertain where the truth is, meet with all sides, and then come together and look at what's the intended consequences of doing something, what's the unintended consequences of doing that, and then go forward with legislation that helps the broad swath of people. We certainly did that in our Senate session and as Chair of Human Resources. And I think you can bring that same skill set forward. And I think we can do a lot of good in Congress and serve people.
But you've run for this seat before and have not been successful. So what do you think has changed from those times to now? Of course, you don't have an incumbent for this race, as Dave Loebsack is stepping down.
So I think certainly having an open seat is one of those things that makes it, you know, a more even playing field. We know that incumbents win the vast majority of times. But I also think it's a different time. When we had the Affordable Care Act go through, you know, insurance premiums were supposed to go down. There was more access to care. We have seen more access to care, but who thought in 2020 we'd still be talking, or 2019, still be talking about health care as an issue and the cost of health care. So I think the affordability, accessibility, giving people's choice, seeing what's happening in our economy and trade issues, people really want someone that's going to go fight for them and make sure that Congress does its job and what we sent them there to do.
But before you get to 2020 and get to the election in November, you have to get through a primary first. So how are you preparing for that primary, and how do you feel like you match up against your opponent, who is a former congressman?
Well, I think a former congressman from Illinois has to prove to Iowans that they're going to serve the best interest of Iowans. I have very deep roots in Iowa. I've been here. My youngest, my daughter, was born here in Iowa. I've practiced here. I've been on faculty at the University of Michigan. I was, the first woman president of the Iowa Medical Society. So I think I have deep roots here. I have name recognition that's throughout the district. And ultimately, be it a primary or a general election, you have to be accessible, meet with people, listen to people, share your ideas with them, how you plan to, put good policy forward that serves them, and then, make the case for why you're the best person for this job interview.
Okay, and what do you think sets you apart specifically, other than having roots here from Bobby Schilling?
Well, I think the fact that I'm a long-term Iowan, that I've worked here, I've been in Iowa, that I know health care, I've been a small business owner as well, a military veteran of 24 years, both active duty and reserve service, so I have a long skill set and experiential background that helps prepare me for this role.
Senator Miller-Meeks, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Your teams, your stories come alive on Local 5's Friday Night Blitz, the only hour-long show dedicated to high school football, with 12-plus games of highlights and reactions.
Seem to have a championship-caliber defense that go a long way.
With your pictures and video on air. Send your faves with hashtag Local 5 Blitz. Local 5 Sports is proud to celebrate the 20th year of Friday Night Blitz, sharing your stories on the gridiron and in the community. Watch Fridays at 10:35. Local 5's Friday Night Blitz is sponsored by Fairway.
Now you can get real health care for as little as $6 a day. Yes, save over 50% on your current monthly health care payments. Our plans are perfect for people that are self-employed, don't get health benefits where they work, or just want to pay less for their current health care coverage. And coverage is guaranteed regardless of your medical condition. Save up to 50% on your family's health care benefits. Call right now for a free health care quote starting at just $6 a day.
The Dish voice remote just got even more powerful. Why'd we put so much technology in there?
You don't think I've watched a lot of football? You want to put a little wager on it? Bet.
So you can settle that bet without ever taking your eyes off the game.
How many D1 football teams are there?
What you do with that power?
Oh, it's gotta hurt.
Well, that is totally up to you.
Don't look so sad, man. Come on, we're having fun.
New Dish voice remote with the Google Assistant. Dish, tuned into you.
Let's play.
From the Outlaws.
I think we know how this is gonna go.
To the Warriors.
Nobody can dispute the rightness of what we're doing.
And every heart pounder, smoke and barrel, hot pursuit, and powerhouse punch in between.
Sometimes you gotta go for it.
Ante up and kick in like men. Like men!
It all is.
We ain't seen bad yet.
On Grit Television with Backbone.
Before we go, we have a quick note on one of our analysts from our congressional race discussion last week. We talked about all 4 congressional races and the presidential race. Now, in an effort to have full transparency, Craig Robinson did receive a payment to print and distribute mailers for Bobby Schilling that were written and designed by the campaign, not Robinson. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. We'll see you next Sunday.